Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
To the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw.
And I'm Sean Liang.
How you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, love October.
Yeah, me too. I really love October. It's been a good month so far. A lot of interesting movies this month we've been talking about. A lot of stuff you may not have seen, I may not have seen, but I know our audience definitely hasn't seen a lot of it because a lot of it's some really obscure stuff, which is awesome.
It's like really obscure, guys. So
it's super hip. Okay.
Don't feel bad if you don't know what we're talking about. We're just here to educate you.
Yeah, right. So before we talk about Stung, the movie we're going to be talking about today, Sean, have you been watching anything?
What have I been watching? Gosh, no, most of the stuff that's on your list, man. So I would say nothing like that sticks out right now.
Yeah, I mean, me either. I've only been just watching stuff to get ahead for this month.
Yeah, and that's great because I love horror movie marathons. So.
And so do I. That is for sure. I mean, October is definitely my favorite month of the year in regards to the movies that I watch, because I pretty much only watch horror movies.
Yes.
In October, because horror movies are awesome.
They're the best. They're my favorite.
Yeah. So speaking of horror movies, our last bonus Kulturecast today is going to be over Stung, which came out earlier this year. It is directed by Benni Diez and written by Adam Aresty, who we spoke with, so we'll play that interview here in a little bit. Stars Clifton Collins Jr., Jessica Cook, Tony DeMeyer, Lance Henriksen, who I spoke with a long time ago.
That's awesome.
And he's awesome in everything. And Matt O'Leary as well. And the IMDb synopsis for the film is: a fancy garden party turns into upper-class prey when a colony of killer wasps mutates into 7-foot-tall predators.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, everything okay?
Yeah, this party needs an autopsy.
Did you see that? There are these massive wasps flying around here. You should be careful.
Ow!
They're like this. They're huge. Avoid everything here. It's bad.
Oh, poor baby.
Thank you all for coming. And for leaving the kids at home.
Help! I think something's bit him!
Sean, had you seen this film before, and what are your thoughts?
I had not seen this film before. It's funny because the poster looks so familiar to me, but no, I have not seen this movie.
Poster is awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool. And that it's a little, I don't know, should I say? Nah, I won't say anything. But I did really like this movie. I think it was probably out of the movies that we watched, you and I, this month, it was probably the most traditional monster movie, horror film.
Oh, it's a total. I mean, it's a total just back to basics, 80s tribute.
Yeah, like it reminded
love letter to monster body horror.
Exactly. Not even monsters, but like giant insects like that. I remember when I was a kid seeing like those Universal movies with giant ants and giant spiders taking over towns.
Like, I want to say They Live?
Yeah, or Them. They Live is
Them.
Yeah, I think it's Them, right?
Yeah, Them! Exclamation
Yeah,
point.
yeah, that's it. That's the giant ants. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was I thought it was fun. It was a great monster movie with some cool monsters.
And it also incorporates some of Cronenberg body horror.
Yeah, yes.
Which is awesome. Which, as a huge fan of body horror, I would say body horror is up there with my favorite subgenre of horror. Body horror is probably my favorite subgenre of horror.
Ooh.
So I was like all in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Mutations.
It's a wacky movie.
It really is. It's got some. I didn't expect it to be what it was. I didn't expect it to be so. The special effects are pretty cool, is what I'll say.
they're really well done.
Yeah.
And because this is an indie film. It's comedy. It's comedy horror.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, it is totally a comedy horror film. More horror than comedy.
Definitely.
Unlike Elvira, which we talked about earlier this month.
Yeah, not the same.
Which was just like total comedy.
Exactly.
But the film is kind of just follows Jessica Cook and Matt O'Leary's Julia and Paul and their caterers who are catering this party in the middle of nowhere at this, I guess, farmhouse mansion.
Yeah.
And these giant wasps start showing up. And when they sting you, you get turned into a giant wasp
So they
from the
somehow,
inside
They
out.
impregnate you with their sting, and then
Yeah.
they burst out of you or something. Yeah.
It goes like total Brundlefly.
Yeah.
Like you become like a wasp. You become a wasp. The wasps hibernate inside of you for like 2 minutes and then they pop out. They're not like human wasps.
No, yeah. No, they just use you as like an incubator.
Well, maybe they are kind of human wasps because at one point the wasp puts on music.
That's true. It's almost like they take on their soul or something, but it's like they definitely make a point that they're wearing like human skin, or like, because like the way there's one monster that bursts out, and like there's the skull of the woman that bursts out of is constantly stuck on its leg. And it's there like the whole movie. And I thought that was it kind of takes on their personalities or something. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I liked the idea behind this movie, and I like the execution. I think the end of the film gets a little muddled in, I don't know, kind of just trying to be, I don't know, the end of the movie I wasn't a huge fan of.
Yeah. It felt like it was searching for an ending.
Yeah, it stumbled a little bit towards the end of the movie, and it kind of brought in some things that I wasn't too keen on. Yeah. Story beats, I thought they were a little contrived.
Yeah.
But I mean, we should definitely talk about the monsters first.
Okay.
Because these giant wasps are awesome.
Yeah, those stingers are so even on the first little wasp, because they start small but big for a wasp. They're like, I would say like mouse size.
Yeah, they're like flying mice.
Yeah, and
they're huge.
Their stingers are pretty scary looking. They look cool. And
when they smush them early on, when they're just wasps, there's like a huge amount of just like wasp goop.
It's like some kind of it's not blood. It's just slimy, nasty.
Yeah, it's like just like goop. Yeah, it's like all over the place.
It's goop.
But once the wasps start stinging people and mutating into these human wasp things, I mean, those full-size puppets are pretty impressive.
Yeah, man, because they're definitely practical. The way that they move, that's what I liked about this. It was definitely practical, and that made it real.
Which, for a fan of practical effects like I am, and I know that you
absolutely
are, it's refreshing to see a film with practical
exactly, especially if it's a monster movie. I don't want to watch CGI monsters. I mean, like, not all of them. I gotta have some.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yeah. It's like when it's all CGI. I really appreciated that it was heavily practical effects in this situation, because like when you see that, it makes the monster scarier. It's like when you see the computer animated, there's just like this thing in your brain that doesn't accept it. And it makes it a little less scary. I don't know.
No, I agree. The fact that they're like interacting with them in person.
Yeah, and just the way that you can see the details in a more realistic way. I don't know. There's something about it that makes it more scary.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Watching them actually interact with people on screen is better than if they were just these giant kind of CGI bugs flying
Absolutely.
around.
I mean, Greg Nicotero talks about it in The Mist, how some of those effects, they had to be practical. That's what makes it so disturbing.
Yeah, if it's just a CGI bug flying around and someone's just kind of swatting at it with their hands, like, you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, God, right?
This looks so cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks so cheap and just not believable.
Right. I mean, there's definitely CGI in this movie that is startling. Like when they first bust out of the hive, that's freaky. Like you just see the swarm flying out of.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, ugh, that's gross. I don't like swarms of anything.
Yeah, the another kind of thing that I kind of like, but I'm also a little kind of about. It takes an awful long time to get started.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I had to
which is okay most of the time, but I think that this film almost edges towards too long.
Yeah, I think because there's a point when the action gets going where in my mind I was like, wow, this is going really fast. Like people are dying quickly, things are happening fast. But then I realized that I've just watched half a movie already, so it really wasn't going. It does feel long, but once it gets going, you kind of forget about that other stuff. I don't know.
No, yeah, I agree. I just would have liked to have seen it get moving faster.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have started halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for a film that takes time and sets up the characters so that you're not just like, okay, these are all expendable characters,
right.
And I am not invested in any of them.
Right. I mean, I think the beginning of the movie is definitely to set up the relationship with Julia and Paul, the two main characters, and I get that, but at the same time, throughout the movie, I really didn't. It's kind of cool because in this movie, there's like the love interest, but it's kind of the girl is just not into it. She's just not having it. I kind of liked that aspect of it, but that made me not really so much care about their relationship, and I just wanted to see monsters destroying things. I don't know. Maybe that was just me.
Well, and to be fair, I'll be perfectly honest. I just wanted to see monsters destroying stuff too.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing, and I give all the credit in the world to Adam Aresty for giving us a large amount of just monsters destroying shit on screen.
Exactly.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Because that's a lot of what you get in the film is just monsters going nuts,
exactly. You do get
murdering people.
Exactly.
But I think, and I don't know how you feel about this, the kind of need in horror movies to put a romance kind of swing on things.
I felt the same. That's exactly what I said. I was like, there's a point halfway through the action where I was like, I really don't want them to get together because I don't want that. You know what I mean? Something about me didn't want that. I kind of wanted it to end with the guy not getting the girl just because it was funny and that's what it was set up as, I don't know.
No, I agree. I feel like, and this is kind of a complaint that could be lodged against a lot of horror movies.
Exactly.
Especially more recent ones. I don't feel like horror writers should feel obligated to shoehorn in love stories into their films.
I agree. I think it's definitely a tool to make us care about these characters, but I think you can do that, especially in horror. You can do that in so many ways that it doesn't have to be a love story or romance, because that kind of, to me, it kind of kills the mood,
No, it totally does. And it's what for me, what it really does is it just slows down the movie.
It did, and honestly, I remember those scenes where they were trying to make. I kind of just wanted it to be over so I could see the fly, these wasps break out of somebody's body. But I don't know. It's just especially in this movie, I noticed that though. I would say.
Yeah, there's I always kind of wonder what the motivation is for feeling it necessary to put a love story in.
Right.
Because I just don't feel like it is really necessary sometimes.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I think there are other tools that can make us really care about these characters and what they want. That doesn't have to be, because it kind of cheap to me. It's like a cheap. But the thing about this movie that he does that's cool is that he doesn't make it. He makes it clear at the beginning that Julia doesn't want him, but then I don't know. Then
she does anyways.
Then she does anyways.
She finds him hot,
right? I guess because he
killed all those monsters.
Exactly. I guess.
Don't you know that's like the best way to get a girl? Just be in a bug-filled house with her.
And just kill as many as you can. Survive. That's all it's got to do.
That was my one kind of big issue with the film is that I just, if you're going to try to sell a horror film to me, I'm not really interested in the love story.
Exactly. Unless it's part of the horror. You know what I mean? But that in this case, it wasn't at all. And I agree with you.
And the ending does kind of cheapen everything too.
I agree.
And I don't think that we should talk about the ending in specifics, but the ending with their characters totally cheapens.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. Well, let's play the interview with Adam Aresty, and then when we get back, we'll continue talking about the film.
Working for a catering company. I'm originally from New Jersey, and the company I worked for sent myself and a couple of other employees out to this really remote farmhouse that happened to be owned by this really wealthy family. New Jersey is a big pharmaceutical production center. I don't know what you call it, but so one of those families, this sort of like pharmaceutical dynasty in New Jersey, they had this annual party out at their house, and I was assigned bartender, and they stuck the bar right by this really wicked nest of wasps, and I have a really terrible, even still to this day, fear of insects in general, but really just the flying ones in particular. And my imagination just started sort of running wild. I couldn't leave the spot because they put the bar there, and they were the bosses. And I was sort of being strafed by these really, really large wasps. They're called cicada killer wasps, and they happen to have some like infestation. They live in the ground, which is really bizarre. But while I was standing there, it sort of dawned on me that, okay, really remote location, a bunch of bodies to get a good body count for. I was like, this is the beginning of a horror movie. And I went home and I wrote what amounted to be a short story, actually, which was just, essentially the movie follows pretty closely. But then a friend of mine out here in Los Angeles, I was in college at the time, read it and said, this would make a great little low-budget horror movie, and so the rest is history, and I wrote it as a screenplay.
Were there any? You mentioned that the film follows the original story pretty closely. Were there any significant changes between the script and the final product?
I would say only tonally. I originally approached it as just a straightforward, balls-to-the-wall horror film, not really understanding that once you put 7-foot-tall giant killer insects on screen, there is not every example is this, but I think there is sort of a tendency to lose the ability to remain serious about it. So the story was really more of I would say, a throwback to, while the movie still retains this, it was much more of a Cronenbergian in terms of tone, and just from the point of view of Paul, and I think it was like even the story was even written in the first person. The love story was still intact, and the weird family was definitely still there. But once I realized that it was going up on screen, I think I sort of said, okay, you know what, let's embrace the comedy here, and I think those were the two major differences for sure.
Mm-hmm. And the film has some notable actors in it that, viewers will recognize when they watch the movie. But Absolutely. When you were writing the script, were there any talent that you sort of imagined playing the characters as you wrote it?
The honest answer is no. And really the way that the movie sort of ended up happening was so, it took a long time, it took a really long time from script to even really shooting it. But I do remember the call, getting Lance Henriksen and immediately thinking to myself, oh my God, that's so perfect. Not only because the movie is a love letter to aliens in many, many ways, but because, yeah, he just fits. He fits in that role so well. And I never even thought, that was really, I think, Benni Diez, the director, that was really his doing. And I believe it was really a long shot. It was, hey, let's try to get Lance. And he read it and he liked it and he said yes. So, we really, that was really a blessing. And so I'm assuming you've seen the movie. So in the scene, in Lance's death scene, which was awesome because it was his last day shooting. So it was kind of like weirdly emotional for everyone, even though, he didn't really die. He was dying on screen. A couple of nights before, the one thing I will say about working with Lance was that I was on set for the whole shoot for 6 weeks. We shot outside of Berlin, and I knew he was coming, and I thought to myself, okay, you can't talk about aliens with Lance Henriksen. You just can't. You cannot. Don't even bring it up. Just, hi, Lance, pleasure to meet you. Go from there. And the best thing about Lance Henriksen is that all he wants to do is talk about aliens all the time, all the time. He's telling war stories on set, and we all stayed in the same hotel, so we were hanging out one night, and he and I really got to talking about Bishop and about, it was amazing. He was telling me, sort of how he approached the character and all this stuff, and I said, my favorite scene with Bishop is the one when everyone's arguing about what to do next, and all he says is, I'll go, when he crawls through the tunnel to go get the dropship back, and he was like, yeah, that's great, what a great scene. I just thought, well, that's the most logical, thing for the android to go. He's expendable. I'll go. So in the movie, in Stung, Lance, right before he dies, he says, I'll go. He stands up and he says, I'll go, like a hero. And it was not in the script. I know that if I had written that in the script, Lance would have said, this is from fucking aliens. Screw you guys. I'm not doing it. But he just did it. He just like an improvised line, and he did on set. And I was standing at the monitor, and I remember getting like weird nerd goosebumps because it was almost like a gift. He was leaving the next day, and he thought, okay, I like these guys enough to like give them a little aliens nod. And he was covered in blood, and he was everyone's patting him on the back, and I went up to him after the shot, and I said, thank you so much for that. That was really a gift. And he just looked at me, blood all over his face, and said, the fans are gonna love it, man. And I just thought, that's Lance. He really knows his niche, and he brought so much to that character that I don't think was even in the script, that he was deconstructing, in between takes and stuff. And I just thought, yeah, he's the real deal. He's great.
And how was it working with the rest of the cast members?
The rest of the cast was amazing. One of the most interesting things about the way the movie was produced was because it was shot in Germany with an entire German crew. Benni's German. Pretty much the only person behind the scenes that wasn't German was myself and the guys at XYZ who executive produced the movie. But they were pretty hands off. So whenever they yelled cut, everyone was speaking in German. And that was important. Obviously, they all had a shorthand that they needed to, use when they were working. And it sort of forced the 5 Americans to like hang out more because they were the only people that really were speaking English. Everyone spoke English there. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like we were complete fish out of waters, but in order to work really well and fast, they were speaking German. So Matt O'Leary and Jessica Cook and I in particular, because we were there the whole time, Lance and Clifton, once they died, they were gone. So I think Clifton was there for about 3 weeks, and Lance we only had for 2 weeks. And Matt and Jess and I are still friends, to this day. I see them a lot. We all live in Los Angeles together, and they are really, really awesome. I think it was a blessing for me as a writer to be invited to set, because most of the time, they buy the script and they send you the DVD and you're like, oh shit, but I was really, in the time it took for the script to be greenlit, Benni and I, we had met a few times and we became pretty close. And so he said, you absolutely have to be there. It was his first feature, my first feature. And he said, I want you to just be on set if we run into any problems, whatever, or just because you're cool, you should come. And it was great. It was total, it was just chance of a lifetime, really. And so, I would say everybody really, we had a great time. We had an awesome time shooting that movie. It was like, the other thing that was really nice about it was that the location of the movie was this house, which we found, and they used the house as a set, obviously, but all the interiors are the real interior of the house. So the basement is the basement, the kitchen is the kitchen. But the upper floors of the house we used as green rooms and production offices, makeup and all that stuff. So it was kind of like going to like camp for 6 weeks because, we weren't living in the house, but we were more or less we were. I mean, the hours were pretty intense. And so it really forced us to kind of all just really become really close with each other. And the crew especially were great. And I just had a chance. We just had our German premiere at the Fantasy Film Fest, which is a German genre festival that tours all around Germany, 7 cities. So I went to Berlin and I went to Frankfurt and got to see everyone. And it was great. It was like a little reunion. We got really, really tight. It was cool.
You mentioned that you were on set a lot of the time for the whole time, and you talked about the sets themselves, but one set in particular is I'm interested in how it was made. When the house gets sort of turned into the wasp hive. Yeah. What all? Yeah. So that is the okay. So the cool thing about that house is that it was as run down as it looks on screen. It probably was actually worse in real life. It wasn't a working house. It's actually I guess it's protected under some sort of like national landmark thing. So someone owns it and they rent it out for film shoots, and I guess you can get married there, and they do like commercials and stuff. But we had to run the place. The only thing that we couldn't do was really destroy anything. So, for instance, the hallway that becomes sort of torn apart and is filled with all the furniture that they have to climb through, they rebuilt a section of the hallway in an adjacent garage, which was very cool because the set guys just nailed it. They perfectly matched it, and but we were able to cut holes in it and stuff. That and the finale, the nest. The nest was actually up in the real attic of the house, which is where it's located in the story, which was amazing. And they took probably a couple of weeks to use, I guess it was like some sort of horse-based bone glue to construct this and paper, and like paper mache type of material. The stuff, the bone glue, they had to heat it up, and it smelled like rotting flesh. It was awful, actually. And so being in the set was a terrible experience. But it actually kind of it did a nice thing for Matt, especially because he's getting fed that larva, and he's kind of choking and almost puking. And I think that was almost like a real reaction to what the whole room really smelled like. But man, that stuff was really rank, that whatever that glue was that they used. But that set really was amazing because we shot the movie more or less chronologically. So by the time the third act came around, going up there, I had sort of peeked in a couple of times throughout the shoot just to see how it was going, but you couldn't really stay in there for that long because even the guys doing it were wearing masks and stuff. So by the time we got in there and it was all dressed with the fog and the creepy lights and everything, man, they nailed it. It looks great, you know? Mm-hmm. It really does look good. So are you working on anything now that Stung is finished?
Stung is finished. I sort of took the spring and summer to go around and enjoy that experience. We premiered at Tribeca and had a couple of screenings here in the States, and obviously it's on VOD. We're doing Stung 2, and so I'm working on Stung 2 actively right now. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm allowed to talk about it, but I mean, it's Stung 2. So, we're in the scripting phase right now. And besides that, I write a lot. I'm working on a novel. I usually write prose before I go to script format. Like I said, Stung started as a short story. I like that ability to kind of, not have to just be action and dialogue. And so I'm working on a novel right now. I'm trying to finish that up by the end of the year. And just a bunch of other projects, I know that even watching Stung get made from the ground up, so many tiny miracles are required to get a movie made, and it takes a really long time. So my attitude is, while you're waiting, just work on something else and see where they go. 'Cause it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't know that Stung 2 was in the works, and I know you don't know how much you can tell me, but I do have one question about it, and it's just yes or no. Does Stung 2 follow the cow wasps?
I can't say no specifically. I mean, they're not the main characters. I'll say that. One of the best things about that punchline at the end of the movie is that it gives credence to the idea that anything is possible. So I'll just leave it at that. Any animal is fair game. Let's just say that.
All right, so big thanks to Adam Aresty for sitting down and talking with us about Stung. What did you think of the performances? What the characters were doing notwithstanding, but what did you think of the performances?
I actually was pleasantly surprised. I actually really, really liked Matt O'Leary's performance because he kind of dampened that romance thing we were talking about, because he's kind of dry, sarcastic, and I liked the way the two of them were together. But I really liked his character. He was funny. He was a funny guy. And I mean, Clifton Collins was just so weird the whole time. At first, I didn't like him because I thought he was too weird. But then I'm like, no, that's the character. It totally works. It's funny, and it's also weird in its own pleasant way.
I liked Matt O'Leary. I don't know what it is. I normally really like Clifton Collins Jr. and stuff. I did not like him very much in this.
I'm glad you said that, but I ended up liking him. But I'm glad you said that because it took me a long time to like him in that movie.
Yeah, it's just his character. I think it's because of what happens later in the film where I'm like, oh, come on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely
like that shit is that plot idea is so played out.
Exactly. I know, but that's why I accepted it, because I knew what it was. It was one of those things where, like, it's like the mommy issue. We'll just say it. Like, it's Norman Bates meets, I don't know, The Fly.
I mean, that's really a good comparison.
Yeah, And so once maybe that's why I was so put off by him at the beginning, because it was clearly this like weird he's so weird. He stands out so much in this movie until like shit goes.
I mean, it barely even looks like Clifton Collins.
Yeah.
With that kind of goofy hair wig that they have him in.
Exactly.
Come on, that wig is like really goofy.
I mean, it looks like a creepy, like rich mullet. Look, it's like a rich people's mullet with his like sweater vest and.
Well, and it works for his character.
Yeah.
So, at least they got what they were going for in my mind, and clearly in your mind as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But I normally like him in everything I've seen him in.
Yeah.
But this was just kind of a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah. It's especially because the character of the mother isn't really, I didn't think about it as like a, like, I didn't understand that relationship the way that it was supposed to be.
Because it's given absolutely no on-screen.
Exactly. You just kind of get a little bit of or like little nods toward it, but like, and that's why I guess it was so hard to accept Clifton's character at the beginning, because you're like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, no, I agree. What did you think of Lance Henriksen?
I liked him. I love that the old guy is like the one of the heroes of this monster movie. I kind of liked that. I didn't even recognize him when I saw it. So
when was the last time you saw Lance Henriksen in a movie?
Jeez, I know. I can't even remember. What's the last thing?
I mean, he's in a lot of stuff, but I don't get a chance to see him.
Oh yeah, no way. I mean, I think I watched Aliens recently. Maybe that was what it was. I don't know, but I was like, I think I know him.
I wish he was in it more.
I do too. I think that he was a fun element to this movie, but then I don't know. I liked him.
I wish that they had focused more on his character and less on some of the other characters in the film.
Yeah, I think maybe that would have. Yeah, I think that might have.
But that being said, I think that the dinner scene at the beginning is really great.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the dinner scene at the beginning is definitely the high point of the beginning of the
film. I agree. I think overall, it's one of the most. I don't know. I think it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Because you know what's coming.
Exactly.
But you don't know exactly how it's going to play out.
Right. That's the build-up. You get the anticipation. You see the guests, and like you just kind of get nauseous with them, and then you know it's coming. You know, it's like it's almost cathartic to see them attacked by these wasps.
Yeah, and you know it really allows the practical effects to shine.
Yeah, definitely. That was that total bloodbath. That was cool.
Yeah, and you know that's not something you see very often anymore in horror movies because of just the price to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. What was the budget on this movie?
I have no idea, but I can only imagine it wasn't very high.
And it's you. I would think it would be high just because of all the practical effects. But you're right. I wouldn't be surprised at the same time to find out.
And you know the lack of really great creative monster movies is something that I've had a problem with for a long time now.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but
I feel like I haven't seen a good monster movie in a long time. I mean, I don't know. What about
not that are original? No.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know, it's just I think that the time for a large quantity of those monster movies to come out is gone and past, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. It's almost because it does. The movie itself, watching it almost feels outdated, but at the same time, I didn't even notice that. You know, the concept seems outdated, but it's not. You know, the way I never felt like it was when I was watching it.
I mean, the concept of the film is a total throwback to the 80s.
Absolutely.
Which no one is doing horror movies like they did in the 80s anymore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because the horror movie genre has evolved past that.
Right.
But it's always nice to see these throwbacks that are done with those 80s kind of themes with the kind of the modern contemporary sensibilities.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That was fun about this because it's classic Monster in the House with monsters in the house, and yet it still feels fresh.
And I really wish that people were making more of these kinds of movies.
Yeah, I want to see more monsters. I mean, like I actually just saw The Mist for the first time a couple weeks ago, and that made me really crave movies like stuff like this, you know, like where I can see just horrific but like creatures, you know. I don't know, like we don't like you said, we don't get that very often anymore.
No, and it's really disappointing because the amount of monster movies we got in the 80s was just so high.
Yeah.
And now to like not get them
at all
yeah. is a real bummer.
It's true. I think people are, and I think it comes down to like the special effects. Like if you're, I mean, I don't know. I guess what was Godzilla was like technically a monster movie, right? I mean,
yeah,
and it was terrible, right? Well, no one I mean, it's just not. See, you got to go that extra mile if you're going to do a monster movie, and I think that people don't want to go that extra mile unless, you know, like. To me, a good monster movie, like we said before, takes that genuine mix of practical and special and CGI, and that is a lot of hassle, and that's something that a lot of people don't know about anymore. The monster makers in Hollywood, there's a lot less and less of them. I mean, special effects artists, it's amazing how few of them there are in the industry that are, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. And it's what's saddening about it is those people were the reason that some of these people are able to do what they do now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same. It's funny. You go back and like the people that work on your favorite monster movies, they've worked on everything because it's like the same 6 or 7 guys that are working and doing an incredible job with this makeup and these effects. That's like it.
And all you want to see is just them to be able to do what they do best, which is make awesome monsters.
Exactly. And that's hard. I know I've been on sets where you'll have the special effects artists like arguing with the cinematographer, the DP, or even the director because they need to get that effect. And they talk about, there's actually a documentary on, I think Netflix about the special effects artists in Hollywood and what they go through. But they argue because like some of the special effects takes accuracy and time, and that is just something that directors and producers won't sit around and wait for anymore, and that sucks.
And the real bummer about all this is that the fact that nobody is willing to give these people the time of day means that this is just becoming like a lost art.
I know, and that's why I'm glad stuff like this is still around. I just want to see more. I want to see more of it. It's just,
no, I agree.
Oh man, I mean that's why I feel like, you know, Greg Nicotero is one of like the biggest in the special effects, makeup, and creature features that's still around. He's the guy that he produces The Walking Dead. And that's where you get some of the more modern special effects. I mean, that's why zombies are such a big thing now, I think, is because they're taking the time to create some really cool effects for them.
Well, and when I spoke with Matt Winston last week, that was something that we talked about, was the landscape of practical effects is now moved towards TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not in film, because it's easier to do it on TV because it isn't, the amount of financial overhead needed to complete it is not as high.
Exactly. That's true. It's just the way they function. With a movie, you have one entity that can sink or sail, you know what I mean? And it's like, you don't know, people are so afraid of losing money. And I know from personal experience, the producers are constantly worried about, making that money back, that taking risks on special effects is a big consideration.
Yeah. And I feel like the inability for people to take chances on really creative and interesting ideas, it's obvious in this day and age.
Definitely.
I mean, that's why there are these reboot after reboot after reboot and, sequels. And it's just...
Exactly.
Let's take some chances.
Exactly.
Please.
I want to see it. I don't care if it's terrible. I'll still watch it. There are people out there that will too. Just, I don't know. That's what.
And to be fair, horror movies, very rarely do they ever get really awesome reviews.
Exactly. And that's the sort of, horror movies are one of the movies that do really well international anyway. So I don't know. I just feel like it's like a perfect opportunity to do that. It's just, you have to be willing to get a lot of people on board and do that. I don't know. It's tough.
No, you really do. And that is what makes me happy that a movie like this is able to exist.
Exactly.
In this day and age, is that people are still willing to take chances.
Right. Oh man. I look at what artists do, and they can come up with some really disturbing creatures and just things that the image alone sticks with you. And it's hard to get people. It's another thing is it's hard to get an artist good enough to make it look as terrifying and real and on camera. That's hard to do. So I wish there was more of that.
No, I totally agree. I wish that we were getting the influx of monster movies that we used to now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I think that this film is a step in the right direction for the revival of monster movies in the contemporary horror genre.
Exactly. It's what I would want contemporary monster movies to look more like down the road.
I agree. Well, with that being said, Sean, skip it or watch it in best performance?
I definitely say watch it. I will say that I wouldn't really go out of the way to watch it, but it is definitely good for what we were saying. I really liked the monster effects. That's definitely worth it. So watch it. Favorite performance? I gotta say Matt O'Leary, because I enjoyed him. I really liked the character. I remember noting that in my mind when I saw it. He lightened it up in a way that wasn't ridiculous. He's a very relatable guy. So I really liked Matt's performance in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's going to be a definite watch, and I would have to say Matt O'Leary. He is the reason that this movie's problems, like the romance, aren't a bigger problem,
right?
If that makes sense. So, because it wasn't great, but Matt O'Leary's character kind of lessened that.
It alleviated some of the I guess the groan factor of we need more of this. Yeah, he made it not so bad. The romance, the love story.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and that's why he just absolute best performance of the film.
Yeah.
So, well, with our opinions on the record, Sean, what do you think the Rotten Tomato meter is at for the film?
I want to say 60.
50%.
50, okay. I feel like people are it's hard to convince people on monster flicks anymore. It sucks.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. People that's not something people care about.
Yeah. I think they can make them care about it once again. I think that'd be cool.
I hope so.
Yeah, I do.
I would like to see that.
Yeah,
I would like to see people caring about monster movies again.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Before we talk about before I talk about the final Kulturecast of October, Sean, is there anything you want to talk about? Or is there anything you want to plug?
I say just the usual. So follow me on Twitter if you don't mind. I'm Seanifer. And like me on Facebook, I'm Sean Liang there. And I got a movie coming out next month. I don't know. It'll be on some I think probably video on demand. It's called Quarter Life Coach. It's a fun little indie flick. Nothing special, but it's a lot of fun. It's cute, and I had fun making it. So check that out. And as always, To Survive is still on Hulu. Check it out.
Yeah, please check out To Survive. It's awesome. And then check out our podcast where we talk all about it and we don't spoil it. So you can follow me on Twitter at Culture Stash, and make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Culture Shock. And our final Kulturecast of the month is going to be tomorrow.